African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised. Good morning. Liquid gold has covered the eastern horizon here in beautiful Africa. This is Safari Live.
You are live, you are live.
The search for leopards and lions and various other predators of the morning and night has begun, and there, in her spaceship, is Taylor McCurdy. She is the other person out on drive this morning. My name is James Henry, and shortly Tristan will be out on foot. It would be slightly suicidal for him to be out on foot right now, well, because it's still very dark. Please do talk to us during the course of the morning. Hashtag Safari Live is how you do that. We're going to attempt to find the leopard around here. I'm also going to go further to the south to see if the royal family hasn't returned, and then perhaps to Cheetah Plains. It's all a rather blank canvas in the morning, which of course is an excellent place to be. You are most welcome. It's good to have you on board with us. Send us any questions or comments you like. Hashtag Safari Live is how you're going to do that. Good. Shall we carry on? David is on camera, by the way. There is his thumb. Excellent. Megan is in the final control, talking to my ear. Rebecca and Louise are poking around in there somewhere as well, doing various things that are beyond the capabilities of my small brain to understand. Let us head straight across to the spaceship Enterprise, down there with Captain Taylor McCurdy.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome, of course, hopefully another exciting sunrise safari. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is VM, and as James has just said, we are searching for leopards. However, we're searching for the one that was doing all the calling, and thankfully Tristan has also jumped out and is on the search for leopards too. So I don't know, we haven't picked up anything now. We're here at Gowrie Cutline Central, and there isn't anything, so I don't know, VM. What do you think? We haven't had any more tracks. We only had tracks a little bit earlier. Should we check up here towards Buffelshoek? Let's go up Cutline very quickly. Tax is going to go and check around Twin Dams. And now this is obviously just the race against time as to will we find this leopard before it crosses out. Because if it is Tingana, a resident male leopard, goodness gracious, that boy can walk, and he doesn't let anything slow him down. So we'll just have to try and see. And I am going to be sticking my head off of the vehicle every now and then. I do just need to check, of course, for tracks, as it is still very dark and it's not quite easy to see them. But if you have just joined us, welcome again, and this is a live safari, and we'd love it if you have any questions for us about anything really. You can hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. That is the best way to get hold of us. And again, if you do hear anything on the dam cam, or if you see anything on the dam cam, let us know. We definitely do appreciate it. It helps us with finding animals for all of you. So it's definitely, yeah, I can just smell leopard urine. But I haven't got any leopard tracks. I've got lots of hyena tracks and elephant tracks. I'm not going to show you them, just because I feel as if we waste time looking at a track, we might lose the animal. So we'll just keep going very quickly here. Just check. Let's see if there's anything out and about this morning. I think with James and I both looking for leopards, hopefully we'll get an opportunity to see one. And if you didn't see the pre-show, I was also mentioning that there was lions calling, and the lions were calling, it sounded like outside my window, and I eventually picked up male lion tracks at the junction of Vuyatela Access and what's that road called now? Gallagher. Haha, almost forgot. So yes, so it was much noise going on last night and early this morning, which is very exciting. I still don't have leopard tracks though, which is concerning, VM. I don't think we're on the right trail. Because the leopards are constantly walking on the roads. Let me quickly chat to Tristan. Copy Tax. I haven't got any tracks either coming out over the dam wall towards Mvubu. There's nothing. So I'm not sure where he is. I'm just checking Gowrie Cutline towards Buffelshoek Cutline. But Tax and I are, let me just sort this out quickly. Tax, you can see it if you just go a little bit further west past the DRC sign of Vuyatela access, you'll see where the tracks are, and then I lost them. I don't know if he went up onto Quarantine or if he went down towards past Galago shortcut, but there were no tracks on Galago shortcut either. So either this leopard has decided that he's not going to walk on the roads today, he's just going to mark his territories on the verge and walk just off of the road, which sometimes happens too. They don't always have to walk on the roads. But we're going to keep searching now, and hopefully between Taxon and I we'll be able to find this big male leopard. But let's go across to James, and as you know, he's on his own search, but it seems as though he's heading towards Cheetah Plains.
Well, not quite yet to Cheetah Plains. We're on our way down towards the old hyena, or to the hyena den, towards the hyena den. I'm not going to go in there just yet because it's still a bit dark, and I don't want to bathe those very young cubs in light, but I just thought maybe that leopard had come wandering past here. And of course, to find tracks on the road, he did come past here, but he was going that way. So he came up Philemon's Dip. So I asked Megan to tell Taxon and, well, basically to tell Taylor, who will tell Taxon. He came up Philemon's Dip towards Quarantine, so he definitely, or I think it's highly unlikely that he came back down this way. But otherwise things are, I think we should have a little dawn chorus listen. Lions not calling in the dawn, but maybe while the others search for the leopard, we will hear him calling again. Much louder dawn chorus than we had the other day. Monotonous larks, laughing doves, Cape turtle doves, sparrows, the odd francolin, something that I can't identify down there. Very swizzling, this warbler-like call. One or two pearl-spotted owls, giddy fowl in the distance. And you can see a sort of, well, quilt-like blanket of clouds over the top. A quilt of grey cloud. But no call of any territorial cat, lion, or a leopard. Good. Let us continue. Almost time to put the spotlight away. We'll just keep looking briefly. The light is growing with every minute, which is wonderful, as a new day has begun. Oblivious to the happenings of the day before, or what the days to come will bring. Isn't it amazing? I do find it, I don't know, comforting and disturbing at the same time, that despite the events of our lives that make us feel alternately bereft and joyful, the planet just keeps on spinning, and the sun just keeps on coming up and going down, and nothing changes from that point of view. No animals at this stage. Here, there's that swizzling call. There. Oh. I feel like I know what it is. I mean, it sounds like a starling, but I don't think it is a starling. I think it's something mimicking a starling. It might just be a young starling. I'm going to go with young Cape Glossy Starling. Yeah. Good. Well, I suspect you're going to have some pretty good news right now, so let's head across to Taylor McCurdy, who, well, she's had a rather genius morning so far.
Right, I'm just trying to turn around for all of you so you can have a look as to what we have found, who popped out of the grass. So it seems as though, for a change, we were in front of a male leopard. I'm just going to go back onto the road. Sorry, VM, I'm doing lots of maneuvers now, but we'll get him. There he is. We'll have a quick look at him. How's this gorgeous man? I'm going to keep moving, so as he comes closer, I'm going to start the engine and start reversing, as I would like to, of course, stay in front of him. But this is Tingana, and I'm just going to move back again. Sorry, boy. I just need to give him a bit of room, so sorry, VM, it's going to be a bit of a bumpy thing. But we'll just try keep moving it just in front of him like this. What I'll do is I'll go right back, so we can watch him come towards us. But he is definitely on a territorial patrol at the moment, as you can see. And knowing Tingana, I did see his beautiful smiley face on his left shoulder. Right, we'll sit here and watch him come towards us, and then we'll have to do the same thing over again. But he is definitely on the move today. Hello, beautiful. VM, are you happy? Mm-hmm. This is VM's favorite leopard on the whole property. He loves him so much. So VM is now smiling from ear to ear that this is how he could start his day. And what we'll do is, I don't want to make him nervous again, so I'm just going to jump back up and go backwards. Right. Hey, boy. So he's going to mark again, and that's all he's going to do the whole morning. I'm really hoping he'll rasp for us, because there's nothing quite like that sound. There he is. Marking his territory, one end. No, Tingana. Come back this way, please. Ooh, I can see antelope eyes just behind him. That's quite exciting. He hasn't seen the antelope just yet, though. Tingana, look to your right, look to your right. That is a very lucky, I think it's in a Nyala. But Tingana's also been making much noise this morning, so everything does know that he's around. Tax, please join, please take over the sighting. I'm going to go radio down. I'm just going to turn my radio off and hand the sighting over to Taxon. Let's see what this beautiful boy is going to get up to. Now, I really do hope that he does decide to climb this massive jackalberry tree. And perhaps he goes to have a rest. You can see it there. It's the biggest tree. But this is really, really cool. But we'll have to see. He's probably been walking all night. Remember yesterday we had his tracks all over the property. So I think he's done a loop. He's probably gone into Torchwood and then maybe done a quick loop into Buffelshoek. And then back down towards us. And who knows where he's going to go next. I'm just going to let the other car spotlight him. I don't want to put too many spotlights on this cat. Now, Daniel, good morning. You're wondering if that smell is similar to a house cat's urine. It isn't. It smells completely different. Hello, boy. He's just walking right next to the car. The smell is actually quite different. You see how close he's getting. Right, now we need to play a game of cat and mouse. Good morning. Leopard whisperer, right? No, I'm joking. Those are my friends in the other car, so of course I took a bit of banter. They've been giving me gears the entire time about how I need to find them a leopard, and I haven't, but we finally found them all a leopard. So sorry, Daniel. So cats, normal domesticated cat's urine doesn't smell pleasant at all, whereas leopard's urine, it's the most incredible scent, and it sounds bizarre, and you really will never understand the smell unless you get to smell it for yourself. But the closest thing that I can think of, it's sort of like buttery popcorn, if you will. Oh, look at that. We'll just stop here and watch him while he's being illuminated by the other car's light. And that's another very important thing when you are on safari. And we try our best to not... Oh, that's beautiful. Hey? That almost looks like it's the sun glowing on his beautiful face. But we try not to put too many lights on the cat. So with spotlights and things, we'll just have one vehicle using a spotlight. But this is great for us because we get this beautiful backlighting. And if you're all starting to get to know me pretty well now, and I love a good backlighting session. But the clouds are breaking away, which is good, so we won't need to spotlight very soon. We'll just be able to view him in the lovely morning golden light. But let's catch up with him again. Hello Tracy, good morning, thank you for your question. So Tracy, you've asked on this fine day filled with spotted cats, why does he have loose skin under his neck and also on his belly? Well Tracy, it's for two different reasons. The big flap underneath his neck, that excess skin is, I'm going to go past him again so we can view him a little bit better. I'm actually going to go and try and go past this game viewer so we get to see him for a little bit longer. So basically that's a dewlap. And you see, you actually said that there's a number of different animals, but leopards, it helps having that extra skin to help protect their necks. They've got very, very thick, powerful necks. And then this excess skin on their bodies, underneath their tummy, well, that's just because he's maybe a little bit hungry. He doesn't look as big as what he normally does. You can see, look, he's going to walk right past that other car too, just to show you how close he gets. And once he's eaten an entire impala, there will be no excess loose skin. His entire tummy will swell up, and that's the design of course, let me get my spotlight again, of a leopard and a lion and any predator, is that they're able to gorge themselves. We have a quick groom. He's a beautiful cat. The last time we saw him, he was massive. He almost looked like he was double the size, but he would also just eaten a meal. So as he's patrolling, it does not really doing it too much good that he is calling, because he's going to lose out on a potential meal, because everything is going to run away from him if they hear him shouting out and all the time. Though he does to make these sacrifices every now and then, of course. We're just going to wait for him to go past. I don't want to ruin the other guy's shots. There we go. My goodness, it's a very exciting morning. We've gone from the spotted cat. We're going to send you across now to James, who's got some spotted hyenas.
We are indeed here at the den site with Ribbon and her two little ones just as the light came up. We pulled in here, and for a little while it was actually too dark to film properly, but a few minutes later, and the light has come up sufficiently, and there is Ribbon, and her little ones are actually starting to display that fairly typical hyena trait of moving closer to the vehicle. And eventually I think they're going to come down, as many of their ilk have done. They'll pop down and start biting things off the vehicle's wheels. No, don't leave. So of course if she goes, that will be it for us. I just wonder if something hasn't spooked her slightly. See the little one there? Disappeared inside. So this is, I think, the best time to come and visit them, early morning, just as it gets light. Because I suspect she doesn't rest here for the day. I think she rests away from the den. I think let's go round the other side and just quickly see if maybe she's going to rest there, because if she doesn't, if she moves away, there's no point in us being here. We can keep looking for something else. Still, it was nice to see them. Yeah, I think she's gone away. She looked down here. We'll just do a loop around. She often lies down in this little portion here, but she's not there now. Yeah, I think she's gone off into the bush. And of course, as we discovered yesterday when we saw Shadow, well, it's not difficult for an animal to disappear into grass this length. I'm afraid I think that's it for us. Yeah, Ribbon has disappeared into the bushes. Why, I couldn't begin to tell you. Oh, there she is. Hang on. No, here she is. She's here, right here with the little babies. You know what? There's a tunnel, obviously straight through. I'm going to stop here. There's obviously a tunnel that goes straight through that termite mound. And they went in and popped out the other side. It's fantastic. I know that beastly strychnos bush is in the way, but I'm going to give them a little bit of time to settle. Then I will try and sneak a little bit forward. Oh, look at them. This is just fantastic. Sorry. I'm just not sure why it is that they can't remain like this when they're adults. They don't show anything like the same excitement around cars. You can't follow them off-road when they're adults. And yet these little ones become so inquisitive. Now what we must try and do while we've got them so close to us is figure out, are there any distinctive markings that will help us to discern who they are as they grow up. Now remember, their fur of course is going to turn completely, so looking at markings on the fur is difficult except where there are spots formed, because the spots will not change. So if there's a distinctive spotting pattern somewhere on the face or on the chest there, like she's got, or he or she has got a very distinctive spot. What now? He or she's got a very distinctive spot just under the leg, at least between the ear and the eye. The mother's gone off there. Baby's still just outside. Look at that. Sorry, Gloria Cat Lover, you've asked a question about scars. I'm just going to ask for it again. Look how naughty they are. You want to know if they have lots of scars from fighting each other? Yes, they do. From very early on, Gloria, they get scars all over their faces because they start fighting from very early on. And I think you'll find the males, and you'll find the males. The other one is just not visible because it's right here. The males and the lower ranking females, like Ribbon here, will be that much more easily scarred because they have to fight for more. I think they're going through to the other side. What is going on here? There's something making her a little bit uneasy. So she's wandering off down there now. She does seem to be leaving. They're back out again, Dave. And they don't want Mum to leave, but Mum is leaving, and so what we're going to do is sit very, very quietly and see how long they will tolerate being here without Mum, because I think they're going to go back inside. One fright now, one little thing to startle them will send them scuttling back in and they won't come out. Did you see that little bit of behavior there? What they're doing there? They're already starting to mark trees and bushes with the anal gland. Go on around the other side. I think Mum's disappeared down there. Let's wait here for 1 second and then we'll go round and see if they're still outside. There's a gorgeous sky starting to form. So I think this hole goes right through the middle of the termite mound. It's ideal because nothing other than something as small as a hyena will be able to get in there. So let's just roll forward and see if we can't spot a little cub the other side, but maybe we are finished now with this sighting. I don't want to start the engine. No, I think they've gone back in. Well, that was a nice start to the morning. Let's quickly go down the road here and see if we can't have a decent look at the sunrise, which is eventually happening. It's amazing how quickly it changes from coming up sort of before we start drive to quite a long time after we start begin. Yeah, spiders. There's quite a lot of mist as well. I'm just going to try and gain some height, so we're going to go a little bit quickly. Oh, that's not bad. How's that, Dave? Not too shabby. It's very gorgeous. And just to keep you posted on Tingana, I think what he's done is given Taylor the slip, but I'm not going to tell you about that. I'm going to let her do that for you right now.
Hello again. Sadly, he has given both myself and Taxon the slip. We've jumped onto the fire break that sort of runs parallel with Buffels of cut line, and we're just checking. And it's a tough one because he went down into that massive drainage system, and you all remember that drainage system because it's the same spot that the Nkuhumas used to live most of last year through winter. But the problem is that it was a difficult area to drive around in winter. Now it's summer and the grass is standing at almost 2 meters tall. It's almost impossible to try and get in there. So Taxon tried, he failed miserably, he had to come back out. So now all we can do is really just hope and see if, well, we catch him as he moves around. If he goes to sleep in there, that's going to be interesting to try and get in. Because Taxon went in almost exactly where he went and he's lost him. And he says you can't go further north up that drainage anymore. It's just so overgrown. Which is a pity. But I don't know where he's going to go. He could just sit down and go to sleep. He could just have a siesta now. Just check here. You never really know out here in the bush, but we'll just keep trying. Tax has gone around to check Hyena Road. I said that I would slowly move around through here and hope that he pops out. Oh wow. But while Tingana gives us the slip, I'm going to show you the beautiful sunrise from my view, which is actually unbelievable. Let's see if we can get a spot. It's a tough spot. There we go. That'll be alright though. Isn't that beautiful? The sky is on fire this morning. Little bit of mist moving through. And I'm hoping as we sit here we're going to hear Tingana calling. Well, no, it seems like he's settled down on the calling now. We'll just have to keep searching. I'm going to jump off of this fire break and then I'll go back and do another loop on quarantine, not quarantine, on Buffels of Cutline, and then I'm also going to go straight down Gari Cutline again to see if he just wasn't trying to give us the slip. Hopefully not. Otherwise, we're going to have to go in on foot a little bit later, which is also not going to be too exciting, because again, it's so thick you would not even see a buffalo. This is where Tex is going to pop out. Let's go back. Let's go this way. Vian, what's his route from here? Going to Torchwood? Ah, okay. So I'm just having a quick chat with VM. VM knows this leopard very, very well, and he says normally when he does this route, he's going back towards Torchwood. Well, he did this, and I'm trying to remember who he did the same slip to. He had him, and they lost him in the drainage. Looks like there was also a male lion walking around here, but there's quite a few elephant tracks about, so let's just keep going. Maybe we get lucky. We'll just check a little bit further along. We just have to keep scanning and looking for animals as we drive. Wow, wow, wow. Wait till you see this. You can already see, look at the light on the hood of the car. Yeah, this is what I'm looking at. I'm trying to work out where these lion tracks are going. You can see them in front of the car when we finished looking at the sunrise. We'll show you. It's just absolutely spectacular. We almost need some shears, so we can trim the tops of these trees. They've got far too tall. It's obstructing our view now. But if you go just in front of the road, again, we're not going to jump out. There are big male lion tracks. You can see them there. Purely because if we get out and we start looking, we're gonna keep falling behind. This lion, I think, this was calling at about 11 o'clock last night. So the chances of the lion still being around are actually quite slim. So I'm not going to go too far. Because they can, just like Tingana, these animals can really, really travel distance. Just check here. Right, it's still going along the road. I wonder which Birmingham boy was walking here last night. And I reckon if you sat with them for long enough and they all did big calls, you'd eventually be able to identify them by their calls. Because each lion's roar is slightly different. Some more deeper, some a little bit more high-pitched. But you never really know because they don't ever call that often. It's a bit sad. Only really to declare territories. Sometimes after mating they'll do a big roar. Right, we're going to keep searching here. We're going to see if we can see exactly where these lion tracks go, and then we'll head back down towards the last position of Tingana. But Tristan is out and about and he's ready to say good morning on Bushwalk. Back again. Tristan's not ready to say good morning to you just yet. Right, let's continue the search. I actually think we're going to go and check Buffelshoek Dam very quickly. Because I can't see these lion tracks anymore. Whether they've gone... I didn't see whether they went east or south. Just double check a little bit further. Goodness, the newspaper is hard to read this morning. Very, very difficult. Hi, Megan. So Megan is talking to me, but I think she's supposed to be talking to somebody else. Hi, Megan. Right, so we're going to keep searching for animals around here. And we're going to go back across to James. I'm not sure if he's still with those spotted hyenas, but let's go and have a look.
We're going to try and have a look, everybody, but before we do that, we're going to just get the sun there for you, because it's so pretty. And the other creatures that are finding it very pretty at the moment are the biting flies, which have come out in a great and horrible abundance this morning. Let's keep going. Ribbon's come, we're not far from the den. We're at Treehouse Dam, and the den is just up there, and she's come down towards the water. She decided she might like to have a drink, but then she was bombed by a blacksmith lapwing. Oh, and there's a pin-tailed wider. Well done, David. You've got it. Looked like a little bit like a biting fly going off to the north. So we're going to continue along here. She's on the road down here. I'm not sure why she's going foraging at this time of the day. It seemed like an odd time for a hyena to go foraging. Maybe she knows something that we don't. She almost certainly knows something that we don't. Unfortunately, if she goes off the road and we try and follow her, she'll just disappear. They don't like to be followed off-road. She was on the road. The tracks are still there. No, I think she's moved off. Maybe gone down that path there. Anyway, it is the most beautiful morning. Can't believe it. Just going to drive along here and see if she doesn't pop out again. Sorry, Mandy, I'm going to have to turn the final control up a bit there. Mandy, you've got a question. I missed it. Let's have it again, please, Megan, if you don't mind. Oh, you want to know what the biggest threat to a hyena pup is at this age? Firstly, remember, a hyena baby is known as a cub, not a pup. I know it seems really counterintuitive, but it's because they're supposed to be more closely related to cats than they are to dogs. And the biggest threat to a hyena cub at this age, other than its sibling, remember they often kill each other, especially if they're two females, not always, but quite often, would probably be lions. Lions will come past there, they will try and grab whatever other predators they can, and so lions could easily be a nasty threat to those hyenas. Might come from another, would be a threat, I suppose, to the lions, but I think she's pretty safely inside clan territory, so she'll be alright. And I think if there's one species out here that doesn't suffer from infanticide like the carnivore species do, it's probably the hyenas. So I think that's probably where it's the greatest threat to a male leopard. Sorry, let me just stop here a second. I think it's the greatest threat to male leopards. It's not the case with hyenas, so it's probably lions would be the let's say.
Not much just yet, James. We're still working on trying to find another cat this morning, as VM and I were just discussing. We're wondering, it's possible Tingana likes to zigzag about. He's very good at giving the slip. So we're thinking maybe he's even gone back sort of south from the drainage line or Gowrie cut line back down towards central again. So we've decided we've come all the way on Cheetah cut line now, and we had those male lion tracks actually coming back down here again, so it's definitely one of the Birminghams doing a territorial patrol. And we're going to go onto central from Cheetah cut line and then work our way back and just do loops like that a couple of times before we decide to move on. It's still nice and fresh. It's definitely still really good weather to be moving about as a leopard, because you won't be getting too warm. But you never know. It can be quite sort of lazy at times, and I suppose you actually can't say lazy if you've walked 10 miles and you've been marking your territory and calling about. You must be a little bit tired. Ooh. Also lots of elephant activity again coming onto our property from Torchwood, which is nice, so we may see something here. Now, Kate, you're wondering how much does a fully grown male leopard weigh? Kate, it can vary quite a bit, but some of the biggest leopards that we have out here, so Mbavala, who lives in the Sabi River, and which is quite far south of here, and then the Anderson male, who lives around Elephant Plains, Arathusa, those sort of areas. They are the two biggest, and I reckon that those boys could weigh anything between 90 and about 105 kilograms or so. So just over 200 pounds, maybe 220 pounds, which is quite large. I mean, they're massive. They take on animals almost, like for instance, if they catch a big warthog, they're taking on something that's almost their same weight. So I just want to quickly check here, check Warripan, and then we're going to go down, we're going to go to Drakensberg, and then we'll jump onto Central like that. Just check around, because these are also potential spots that Karula could be. She likes it up here. Right, let's carry on. So apparently Tristan's having a bit of trouble with the bush backpack this morning. Seems as though we can't hear Tristan, which is a major problem. So he's had to go back to camp, but hopefully they'll get that sorted and he'll be out and about shortly. But we'll just keep on searching. But now, Jack, you're wondering which cats have got the most advanced form of communication. I think both lion and leopard have got a very much sophisticated communication. And with those particular cats, we actually hear them when they're communicating. So this is when you start moving down to the smaller cats like caracal and serval and African wildcat. They don't make as big of a noise as the larger cats do. So I'm almost willing to say that you could probably hear a lion's roar further away, even with us as the human ear, than you would hear a leopard rasping. Unless it's in a valley or something, then of course that sound travels for ages and ages. So yeah, I would say maybe lions. It's a tough one though. It's a close call between leopard and lion, but they don't just communicate via those ways. It's body language. I'm pretty sure they've got some form of communication that's silent. It's like, how does a mother lion tell her cubs to stay? We don't hear that. We hear none of that communication. So there's definitely a lot more than what we actually know. But sometimes it's really difficult to try and figure those types of things out. But who knows, with the technology that's coming about today, it opens up a whole lot of opportunities for us to sort of investigate animal behavior even further, which is actually very exciting. So in 5 years' time, the things that we're saying about these cats could completely change, because they could all, remember, most of them are just theories and from observations of people, and books that are written are even location specific. And as you move along into different areas, the behaviors of animals can easily change. And we see that out here. I definitely saw the behavior of the animals down on the southeast coast versus Zambia versus the Sabi hand to be slightly different. But that's what's so nice, is the more areas you work in, the sort of more diverse your knowledge does become. And you can pick up sort of little tips and things. And you read the books, and I often scratch things out that I don't agree with because I've seen them doing completely different things. But again, that just goes back to location specific, and and that's why you got to be careful when you read books. So when you want to get any books, say for instance about this particular area, look specifically for books that say the Lowveld or the Greater Kruger National Park, the Sabi Sand, things like that, Timavati, because they're all up in this area. Especially if you're coming to become a guide up here, if you're new, you wouldn't want to be reading books about lions in Botswana, because their behavior is going to be slightly different. Look at Botswana, there's a lot of water systems. Those lions have had to adapt to water life. Their hunting strategies are completely different to the hunting strategies down here, which is really interesting. And that's what's so much fun about doing what we do, is that you just can't get bored. You're constantly learning, you're watching, observing, taking notes, and it's really quite fun. Right, we're on Central now. I think we're on Central now. And let's go and have a quick look around here. It's so amazing how these elephants, they just come onto this property and then they completely disappear. The fresh tracks, fresh dung. You can still see that the urine is still wet on the ground. But with this bush, and that's one other thing why I can't wait for winter, is just so, not that the bush completely disappears, but just so that it drops a little bit, because it's almost impossible to see anything. Sorry Megan, can I have that question again? I could just hear James on the radio behind you. I didn't quite hear the question. There we go. That was a little bit better. Ellen, you're wondering if predators will change their hunting behaviors for the different seasons. 100%, definitely. We see it really well here. Let's have a look at some Nyala, some of the prey species of the animals that we're talking about. Hi guys, you don't look too frightened. I'm going to go forward a little bit more VM, and then I'm going to get a view of them coming out of the bushes. I'll answer your question now, Ellen. There we go. And so, Ellen, they do indeed do that. So what happens, and particularly at this time of the year when the grass is long, it's definitely, it's actually a tough one. There's a lot of grass for the animals to hide in. So for leopards, I think leopards have a better time because they can just sit flat in the grass very patiently and wait and wait and wait till, say, some Nyala like this come through. And then they will, of course, get as close as they can and pounce on them. Lions can do the same thing. They can also hide in this long grass. The only thing with lions, though, I feel as though their coat stands out quite a bit against the green grass because they're quite light in color. That tawny color looks better amongst the brown vegetation and the sand in winter. So it just depends. So here I think they'll be doing a lot more ambush because there's plenty of vegetation to hide behind. And then as you move to the winter months, you might find that they have to do a bit more chasing. It's open. There's a lot less things to hide behind. And I mean, you can just see it straight away in the summer months how the Nyala just completely disappear. So yes, Ellen, you're quite correct. It does definitely change, and it varies from species to species. Now, I can't. Megan, please can I have it again? Sorry, I don't know why I can't hear the questions coming through very clearly. David, sorry, it's struggling, but I think you're asking something along the lines of how important is a role of the scent marking the animals. I don't actually. Sorry, Megan. Okay, there we go. Okay, there we go. So it is around that. Sorry, I'm not sure of the wording 100%. I could just hear Megan's every second word coming through. But sorry, David. So basically, you want to know how important is the scent to communication when animals are marking territories. It's actually very important. Those scents don't necessarily last for a very long time, and that's why we see leopards and lions and the various animals going about, even wildebeest, marking on a regular basis. Something like rain washes it away, but I think when they are walking around there, their sense of smell is the most important, because yes, they may hear other animals are declaring their territories, but just hearing them doesn't show you their boundary as to what areas they like. So Tingana, and it's like what let's talk about that lion. It's like with that lion, we saw him walk all along the boundaries as if he knows. It's amazing and how these animals do this. And we know that they love to go into Buffelshoek, but they always walk Buffelshoek cut line, and they always go down Cheetah cut line. It's a ritual whenever they're moving from the west to the east and then going back south again. And along that way, even in his feet, he's leaving scents behind. He's marking with his, of course, the glands in his cheek, and then they're spraying urine, and that goes for the leopards and lions. And if another leopard or a lion were to come past, and Tingana or that male lion has completely moved out of the area 2 days ago, he's still going to be able to see the exact path, or smell the exact pathway that particular predator has walked. So it's very, very, very important. But it's a combination of things. It's sight, sound, and then of course smell. Goodness, the amount. I'm going to have to gaffer tape a stick to the car again with all the spider webs that we're collecting. Bim, you've got an array on your camera now, just over here. It's quite nice. If we're not careful, we're going to lose Vim. He's going to get wrapped up by a spider. But let's see, Tingana, I haven't seen any tracks along Central now, and here's Taxon too. I don't think we're going to have any luck. I think this leopard has definitely given us a slip. I'm just going to pull off the road very quickly. Let's do this. We'll let Tax pass us, and I'll have a chat with him on the radio at some point. Right, I think we're going to give up our search now. I think we're done looking for Tingana. He's gone. He's either sleeping somewhere, or he has properly given us the slip, and he might be in Torchwood already. Who knows? It's not the first time that he's done something like this to us. So we're just going to have to wait until winter again, when it'll be a little bit easier to follow the animals as they go off road. That's all right. We've got a good view of him, I think. It was quite nice, and you all got to hear him on the dam cam as well. It was nice to have that combination of feeds. Alright, let's go down here. Elephant search for him? What do you think? VM says there's always more leopards. There are indeed always more leopards, but we haven't picked up on any more tracks, which is a toughie. I'm not sure where James is at the moment. I don't know if he's gone down to check Twin Dams to see if the royal family are perhaps by some miracle pop back in. We'll just do another little lap here very quickly, and then I think we'll go towards Buffelshoek Dam. Right. Let's keep going. Okay, we're back on cut line again. Right. So just checking that he didn't do it like a double take and come back again. Now, Aaron, you're wondering if hunting together is better than hunting alone? Most certainly. And we see this with hyenas and wild dogs. They're the perfect pack hunters, or animals that hunt in groups. They are unbelievable. They chase prey. Though with wild dogs, it's interesting to watch, especially now with the drone that we're able to see from above and in the air and looking down. It's almost like they're quite erratic. They run, one will veer off, one will go that way, and they're sort of, as individuals, almost searching for a scent or a sound or even spotting an animal, and then will chase it and go for it. And if the rest of the pack is there, they will all run after it. Otherwise, it's quite common to have one wild dog kill something and then go back, call the rest of the pack, and then lead them back to where the kill is. I just want to check along here on these banks because he could just be sitting down somewhere. And lions, again, as well, they're quite successful sometimes, especially in the winter months when the animals are weakened. There's definitely, you see the success rate of lions increase. In summer, not so much. So it just depends, I suppose, on the size of the animal and the prey that they're going after, because it's almost impossible for something like a one lioness to take down a massive buffalo bull, especially in the conditions that they're in now. She could be successful, but her chances are much greater at actually being killed in that process, especially because she only weighs a quarter of what that buffalo will weigh, maybe even a little bit less than a quarter if it's a big buffalo bull. So it's tough. And that's where the prides come in, when the animals are fit and healthy, because they can jump on, grab all angles, start weakening around the hock, trying to snap a tendon. One will grab the throat, one might try and hang on and cover the snout, or jumping on the backs and gnawing away on the spine, trying to increase the bleeding, so it weakens the animal faster. There's lots of different techniques, but I definitely think in the case of wild dogs and hyenas, hunting in a group is much more successful. Leopards, of course, are specialists at hunting smaller game, and lions use the number of strength to bring down large buffalo. Right, I think we're out of luck. Very, very sad, but at least we've managed, of course, to get a view of him. It seems as though the gremlins are fighting, but we are fighting back. And Tristan has managed to flick a couple of them off, and he's got his audio fixed, so let's go across to him.
Well, I hope so, because we introduced ourselves earlier and it didn't come through, so we shall do it all again. It is a beautiful morning, and like I say, my name is Tristan, and on camera today we've got Expert Eggsy. Now, we're out on a morning that is absolutely beautiful. The sunrise was absolutely spectacular. It came up and illuminated all the clouds, so it was really quite special to be here. And very few bushwalks start these days without the obligatory McCurdy herdie, which is the herd of zebras that are behind me. So for those of you who are not familiar with the McCurdy herdie, it is a group of zebras that has been hanging around quite a lot on quarantine, and Taylor has taken it upon herself to try and habituate these zebras. So every day she's out here, she tries to spend time with them, and we've all followed suit now and tried to continue this pattern, and they've become very, very relaxed with us. It's quite amazing to see how accepting they have been. We've moved into very, very close proximity to them often, and they seem not to really care, which is very, very strange for a zebra herd. Zebras are often very flighty. They normally have very, very good eyesight, and they normally see you and start to push away. Now, today it's going to be a little bit difficult to get anywhere near them because they're surrounded by a beautiful big herd of impala, and those impalas are not quite as relaxed as the zebras, and so every time I try and move close, the impalas start to scatter, and then the zebras trundle off with the impalas in case there is a threat. So we are not going to approach them too closely. Today we will give them a break from our voices and our dull set tones. Now, I think it's going to be a beautiful morning for a walk. There's a nice little bit of cloud cover, and that's going to make the temperature absolutely perfect for walking. It's been a great start to the day by the sounds of it, with Tingana and the hyena den. So I think Herbie and I were chatting. We're going to try and head more to the west and see if we can find any signs of lions this morning. So we're going to try to see if we can pick up any tracks for them. But while we're doing that, we're going to focus on a lot of the smaller things. Ultimately, that's what the bushwalk is about, is to see all these little things that we can't see when we're driving around. So while we'll try and help out where we can with lion tracks, I think we're just going to try and take it a little bit easy this morning and see what little things are out here. It's nice weather for small insects. And talking about insects, we have a millipede here. So you can see this is Mildred's auntie, and she's out and about. Now, Mildred is another one of Taylor's favorite names for the millipedes. She says that they were all called Mildred, so wherever we go, there is Mildreds everywhere. And these guys are starting to get fewer and far between. Unfortunately, it's now getting more towards the winter months, and our temperatures are coming down, and so these poor millipedes slow right up. The insects don't do that well in cold weather. So also these guys are detritivores, which means that they eat rotting matter, and they need a bit of moisture for that rotting process to happen. In the winter months, the leaves just dry out on the surface, and it becomes very difficult for these guys to actually be able to turn that over and to be able to feed. So you find that they burrow down into the ground, and that's where they spend time in the winter months. But nice little start. Shame, I saw a millipede the other day that unfortunately was walking around in half, and it was, by the evidence that we could find later on, looked like a zebra unfortunately had stood on it. So it's one of those hazards of being a small creature that moves slowly, is that the bigger animals like the zebras, when they stand on you, unfortunately it's not a very pleasant experience. I would imagine it would be much like if an elephant stood on us. It's not going to be very fun to be stood on by one of them. I'm just looking around. It's a little bit cool still for a lot of the insects, so we won't see too many butterflies yet. They need a bit of sunshine to start coming out and start flying around. But what we will probably find as I'm walking through this grass now is lots of little locusts. They should be around. There should be a few millipedes like we just saw, and then there'll be the odd spiders that are hidden amongst the Waltheria plants that are littered across the quarantine open clearings. So I'm hoping that we'll find some of them. It's a good time to look for spiders, particularly if they for food, because during the night there's been a lot of insect activity, and they would have caught in their webs food items, and they could then potentially be feeding on them. So good time to look for spiders. What else should we be looking for? Birds is always a good one, although birding on foot is a little bit more difficult. You don't get quite as close to them. They tend to fly away before we even get anywhere near. So that's a little bit more of a challenge, but we shall definitely try. I think Taylor's forgotten about the fact that we had a birding challenge. I don't know if it was just a weekly one or a daily one, but she seems to have forgotten. So maybe we should reignite that and see if we can carry that on and find some birds this morning. And as ever, Herbie the Intrepid, who's busy keeping us safe and is our security detail, is off in the distance scouting around for us. You can see he's walking along there, so he checks around and makes sure that we stay nice and safe, especially at the moment with all the elephant bulls that we've got around. It's been quite something walking. There's elephants everywhere. The other night when we were doing our bushwalk on the way back in the dark, we bumped into this big elephant bull very close to where Herbie is now. We had to do this big loop around, and luckily Herbie spotted it and kept us nice and safe, so that was good. It's quite amazing though to actually see how rejuvenated everything is. Anisha, that's a good question. So you're wondering, if you get surrounded by elephants, what should you do? Well, the trick is try not to be surrounded by elephants. The nice thing about elephants is that generally when they're moving around, they are breaking branches and making a little bit of noise. So you need to be able to be listening when you're walking and making sure that you're aware of your environment. The worst thing that can happen is to be cased in a herd of elephants. So if you get into the middle of them and they're all around you, it's going to be very, very tough to get yourself out of that situation. But if it did happen, what you would probably try to do is you'd probably try to be as still as possible and make your profile as low as possible and hope that none of the elephants pick you up. The problem with elephants is that they have incredible senses, so they're able to smell very, very well, and they're able to hear very well. So you're going to have to hope that the wind is not blowing in any way towards any of those elephants, because they will pick you up. And in a herd, the females can be very, very aggressive because they are very defensive of their little ones. So you don't want a situation where you're in the middle of a herd. The best thing is to be far more aware, and so that if you see herds or if you see signs of elephants, to position yourself in such a way that you will have a steep bank that you can get down, or a lot of treed areas in front of you, big logs that you can get behind, and try and position yourselves in those places, and that if the herd does come past, that you've got some sort of structure to hide behind. But ideally you don't want to be getting caught in the middle of a herd. Now, yesterday I was chatting about grasses and the fact that it looks really lush. Example, if you look around me, you can see that there is actually a lot of dirt that is all around here. So the spacing between the grass at the moment is quite large. So even though it looks really green and long grass, I think we're going to have still a very difficult winter when it comes to food, because this grass, once the seed dies off and that stem dies off, we're going to find that it's going to be very short and very sparse, and I reckon the animals are still going to have a tough time. Now, let's not dwell on negative things and not focus on the negatives. Let's rather look at all the beauty that we have around at the moment. And talking of beauty, let's go across to our male model James Henry and see what he's busy with this morning.
No, male model is not something I've ever been accused of before. Nor is it something I believe that I was ever designed to do. I think you have to be slightly taller than I am. Of course, Brent Leo Smith was a male model at one stage. I cannot claim such. Have you been a male model before, David? Negative. Of course you should have been, shouldn't you? Yes. With locks like that, definitely. Right, we're on Chitwa at the moment, and just enjoying what is a very beautiful clearing. There's some elephants shouting to the south of us. We'll see if we can find them presently. And there is a wildebeest. And I mean, if we talk about male models, I seriously suspect that the male wildebeest is not going to win any prizes as a male model. The elephants are going utterly ballistic just down the way. Let's go across and see if we can't have a look at them. Now, we're on Chitwa, and we are in Wendy, so I'm hoping our signal is going to hold. And of course, I was just saying the other day that I didn't think wildebeest were ugly in the slightest, but most people would not put them on the ramps of Milan, the catwalks of Paris. Let's just go down here. I hope we don't run out of property. Sort of down here-ish. So let's go, let's go down here. Some angry squirrels. Now often when elephants are shouting like that, they're not fighting with each other, they've just discovered a predator. And maybe that is what has happened. David is now standing, looking from the crow's nest. David, do you see anything from the crow's nest there? Nothing yet. Okay, well, let's just keep going. I can't see anything either. There are some clearings down below to the front, but that's unfortunately no longer on Chitwa, which is where we are now. Let's just stop and have a listen here. Very angry elephants, hopefully heading this way. Going to load the map just on the off chance. No, I can still hear them. I think they're quite a long way from where we are. Now, Lara, you're wondering if all wildebeests have got stripes. They do. They've all got those. Oh, look, Dave. The squirrel watching us here. Lara, they do have stripes. And there are different subspecies. You say, are there different subspecies? There are different subspecies of zebra, at least of wildebeest. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, there are 4 subspecies of the blue wildebeest. I'm going to check this up for you, naturally. Wildebeest. We have got one in South Africa. There's one in East Africa. That's the other one. That's the brindled gnu. And there are 5 subspecies from the continent, of which only one, of course, is found here. So we've got the other one in East Africa. And then I wonder if we can't perhaps find where the others are. Let me have a quick look. There's one, I think, in Botswana. No, not in Botswana. I'll tell you exactly where. Here we go. Right. We have the brindled gnu up in East Africa. The others I am going to have to try and download a map for, which I can't right now. We'll just try and see if it doesn't download. Yeah, those are the 2 main ones. The one down here and the one up in East Africa. And I know that I've read where the others are. I will try and figure out where they are. But they've all got those sort of stripy markings. No doubt there are endless numbers of theories as to why they should have them. Alright, we're going to see if we can't find these elephants. While has an update for you on what she's going to be doing.
Sadly, we've given up on the search of Tingana now. We've let him settle wherever he may have settled. Just between Tax and now, we suspect, and VM, we suspect that this leopard is just fast asleep on the bank on that drainage system. But the only problem is that it is so thick, you really can't get in there at the moment. So we'll leave him. What have we seen? Monkeys? Where are the monkeys? VM, as I go back. VM's got eagle eyes. There's a little monkey. Well spotted, VM. That is a Vervet monkey hiding behind the grass. My goodness, I still can't actually even see where VM's looking. But VM is also positioned much higher than what I am and can see a whole lot more. So this is where the teamwork comes into play. I'm actually surprised that they're not sitting on the tops of the trees this morning, because there's definitely a nip in the air. And typically, first thing in the morning, you'll see the birds, you'll see the monkeys, the squirrels, all sitting on the eastern facing parts of the trees, waiting for the morning light to warm their bellies up. VM, you're a champion. I literally cannot even see where you are looking. Oh no, there they are. I can see them now. Ah, jumping monkeys. What are you eating? And something that's exciting that we're going to be seeing in the next few months is the berries popping through on all the guarri trees, and that's what the vervets are going to start to eat. But I'm sure that they've found lots of nice grass shoots. Ah, there they go, up. They're just in the bush willow. There we go. There's a little one. They're eating all the nice grasses. They're eating all the, of course, new leaves. Unfortunately, there's not really much in the form of fruit at the moment. However, I'm sure if they can dig in, they'll try and get the nuts out of a marula. But I don't think that they've got as specialized teeth as something like a squirrel or a bushveld gerbil has. I think they're the specialists at pulling those nuts out of the marula seeds. And there's lots of them. There's even one that's come out just on the bottom right. He's sitting on the guarri tree. And I just want to see if he's a male or a female. Now, it's always difficult to tell the difference between boys and girls. Of course, with the vervets, though, it does make it easy when you see their bright blue testicles. That just obviously means it's a boy. That one did not have bright blue testicles, so I suspect that it is a girl. And of course, that's just one of those. There you go again. Hello. Lovely. That's also a female. And there's her little darling. Now, Lisa, you're wondering if there are any other species of monkeys other than the vervets and the baboons. We've got one more. that is called the Simango monkey, and that looks very much like a vervet, slightly different. I'll actually see if I can interweb a picture. I don't think I have a mammals. No, we'll look, because I don't think my mammals book hasn't got any coloured pictures in it, which will make it a little bit difficult. Let's just have a look though. Savannah baboon. Check here. It's got all the different types of baboons and monkeys and things, but that's the one that we see here. If you want to see the Simangos, you've got to go towards the coast, Natal, so Durban sort of area's got lots of them. Even in Hogsback, so the Eastern Cape, they've got Simango monkeys, right through along the west coast as well. In some of the foresty areas around there, Tsitsikamma, you can see them too. So they're quite limited. We don't see them up here, unfortunately, but they're really pretty. As we move along, when we find something, we get better signal. I'll see if I can have a look. Or you can all do me a massive favor, and I'll be so happy, is that perhaps somebody can quickly pop in Simango monkey onto their browser and then snatch up a picture and then post it on Twitter by adding the hashtag Safari Live to it, and then that way everybody can have a look. But they almost look identical, of course, to the vervets, just slightly bigger eyes, I think. Now we're going to keep searching. I'm hoping to find some elephants. I know James is also looking for elephants, but he, like us, has got distracted and found some waterbuck instead.
I did not so much get distracted, everybody, as have to give up the search because we were about to trespass. So here we have a little herd of waterbuck. They're, of course, waiting to leave Chitwa Chitwa. You see that, David? You get my joke, do you? You don't. Well, look around us, and what do you see? Yes, and what else? If you were to pan off to the front of the car, what would you see there? Yes, and just in front of the horizon, this long strip of dirt is a runway. Okay, so let's go back to the original riddle or joke. They are waiting to leave. Why would I have said that? Because they are waiting for an aeroplane. Well done. Good. Excellent. I'm glad we've got that. Very sophisticated joke there, obviously, or just a very bad one. Probably the latter. Very fluffy waterbuck, and they, of course, will probably be quite relieved for the winter, given the fluffiness of their hair. And yet again, nowhere near the water at all. I said to them, "Do you want to be on TV?" when we got here, and they looked at me, some chewing, sort of like that, and I Now, Marco, who I suspect is Siberia Zoomy, I'm afraid your question was lost in the ether through the blethering of the Game Drive channel, which I'm now going to turn down so that I may give you my undivided attention. Here we go. Which antelope species is habituated the easiest? Well, it depends, Marco, whether you mean on foot or in the vehicles. I think that on foot the bushbuck and Nyala become most fighting most easily. But that's because they live around the camps quite often, and when they live around the camps, they see people a lot and they stop associating us with fear. So they are pretty good. In the vehicles, I'm trying to think what you can get closest to. Definitely not a steenbok or a duiker or a kudu. Impala are not great, you know. They just tend to be in the open a bit, so we see more and there are lots of them. It might actually be these guys. It could easily be the waterbuck. These chaps are being particularly confiding. They're sitting about 20 meters from us, watching us. Two of them are lying down. So I'm going to go with waterbuck, Marco. They're now watching something behind us. What is it, David? Is it a cheetah approaching? Or just a Birchall starling? Probably a Birchall starling. I don't know. That's basically where that Wildebeest was, somewhere over there. Brian, you're wondering about antlers on Waterbuck and whether they ever get antlers. Brian, none of the animals out here get antlers at all. The animals out here, or the antelope out here, are not the same as deer. That's one of the distinguishing features between deer and antelope. Antelope get horns and deer get antlers. Now, these particular waterbuck will never get horns because they're female, and in fact one of the easiest ways to discern whether an antelope is a male or a female is the presence of horns. Some antelope females have got horns, but most of them do not. And these chaps here have got no horns, and the male's horns are permanent. So they never lose them. They are not like antlers, which of course fall off every season. So these females will never have horns. The males have got a massive, very beautiful set rack of sort of rapier-like horns. And they're a good sort of, I would say, 30% larger than these females. And they live generally solitary existences when they're big adults. But they will join up with each other in bachelor groups when they're a bit younger. Right, otherwise everything is very peaceful indeed. I've heard no reports of lions or leopards from anywhere at the moment. So what we're going to do is continue our merry way along towards Cheetah Plains, and Tristan, who is on foot of course, has found some footprints of something else other than himself.
Indeed we have. So we've found the footprints for where Tingana walked in the early hours of this morning, and it's amazing. From far you can actually see them quite clearly, but when you come a little bit closer they almost disappear. So you can see them going up the road here, and the reason why we know it's Tingana is one, because Taylor found it, and I know that the direction that these are heading is straight to where Taylor found it, but two is because of the size and the route that he's walked. Now this road that we're on, which is basically goes to Philemon's Dip and then up to Quarantine, is Tingana's favorite route. Every time he comes from the north or south, he uses this road to be able to walk on. So that's why we know it's him. And the reason why I know it's a male, if we have a look at this track over here, so here we've got his footprint, you can see that it is quite big. For those of you that maybe were watching last night, I was with Shadow and her cub, and I was tracking them, and I was showing the sizes of their tracks. Now Shadow's track, if I put my finger down, it was from about there on my finger to the tip of my finger, whereas if I put this next to Tingana's track, you can see that there is still quite a big difference between the end of his toes. So much larger size than what we see with the female leopard, and the cub track was only about that big. So that little cub track would fit inside just his pad alone. So that's one reason we know it's a male. The second was, if this was a smaller track and it was still a male, you can still tell that it's a male just by using this outer edge here. You see that there's a very rounded edge that comes off. Now on a female, that won't look like that. The female will have a very angular edge, so on a female you'll end up with that kind of an edge to it, so it'll almost make like a sharp point, whereas with the male leopard they have this rounded section that comes round and forms the edge of their lobe. Now the reason that if we had come across these and Taylor hadn't found Tingana, we would have known that these are quite fresh. These were tracks that we would have followed, and for a variety of reasons. If you have a look here, you see that there is a genet track. So there's a very small little track there. So there it is, and that is from a little genet. Now the genets are active at night, and so if you follow this genet track going upwards, you see that Tingana's track eventually crosses over the genet and it goes on top. So you know that Tingana has definitely walked around at some stage during the early hours of the morning, because the genets are active at night. Early hours of the morning, the genets are already going back to sleep, so they're not going to really be on the roads that much. The second thing is that the dove tracks that we have here, they're on top of those too. So here is the little dove track that we've got, Now they're on top of those. Doves only come out at around sunrise, so he would have walked here just as the sun was coming up, which is when Taylor found him a little bit further on. So that is how we use tracks and other signs of other animals to be able to determine the freshness of tracks. And like I say, had Taylor not found him, these would have been tracks that we would have tried to follow. But Herbie and I were laughing about it, because with Tingana, to follow from behind like this is almost impossible. He walks too fast. You need to almost loop around to the next block and to see the next road and see if they hasn't crossed yet, and that's how you've got to try track him. Otherwise it's almost impossible. He just walks too fast to track him on foot. He always seems to be going somewhere, Tingana. Just seeing where Herbie was looking at the tracks there as well. Sarah, beautiful. You were saying, do leopards have better sight or smell? Sever, beautiful. Thank you, Megan. It's a difficult one, and their eyesight is absolutely incredible, and so is their sense of smell. I'm not sure either one has been measured against each other. They're such different senses that it's quite difficult to say, but they definitely use both extensively in their search for food as well as holding of territories. In terms of the sense of smell, they can work out who's in their territories and what's going on and whether or not there's a threat. Just be careful there, Eggsy, there's a big stump. So they can use their sense of smell in that regard, but in terms of hunting, I've seen leopards trying to locate prey animals like duiker, especially because duikers hold small territories. They find them by utilizing their dung. So they find an area where a duiker is defecated, and then they just scent from there. And I've seen them actually locate on those duikers fairly often. So they can use their scent like that, but their eyesight is also absolutely incredible, particularly at night. A leopard's eyesight is very, very good at night, and the reason why it's so good is because they have sacrificed their color vision, so they can't see like we do and see all these bright, vivid colors that we pick up in this color spectrum. They unfortunately see in a more gray, monotone kind of way, and the reason for that is because they have two types of cells in their eyes, so same as us. They have cones and rods. Now cones provide color, so when you have a cone cell, it picks up color, and we have almost 50-50% ratio between our cones and our rods, whereas with the lions and leopards and these cats that have spent a lot more time active at night, they have very, very few cones. Almost 90% are rods, and so they're able to see like we do in the night. They can see very, very clearly in the night. So in nights you probably find that they use their sense of sight much better, but during the day they will use both effectively, and I reckon it's probably an even contest between their sense of smell and their sense of sight. It would be amazing to see in the dark like that, wouldn't it? Imagine being able to walk around in the dark and actually see exactly like they do. And I suppose the infrared cameras that we've been using, so we've been trialing these infrared cameras to go to the Mara and to do some shooting at night, and also here at Djuma to be able to utilize at night so that we can see the behavior of certain animals that otherwise we wouldn't be able to watch. Things like zebras, impalas, elephants, buffalo. We can't normally watch them at night because of the spotlights, but with the infrared we're able to get a secret peek into the nocturnal darkness. And it's amazing. Last night we tested an infrared light with Vervet, and it was pitch black. You could not see a thing. There was absolute darkness, and there when you turned on the IR light you had a very, very clear, clean picture of the zebras and impalas moving around in quarantine. It really was quite something. So pretty amazing that we are developing these kind of technologies where we are able to sort of see in the dark and be able to watch animals and you know, change the way that things are, and be able to utilize technology to overcome our shortfalls when it comes to the night times. Right, we're going to carry on, see what little things we can find. We're going to go check some of the little water holes, see if maybe there's any frogs around or spiders or any of those kind of things. And while we do that, let's go across to Miss McCurdy and see where she's going and what she's up to. She seems to have had all the luck this morning, so hopefully it will continue.
I do indeed hope it does continue. So we just got a little bit of insight. We've actually changed our route completely now. We're heading back west towards Gowrie Gate, and that's because Andrew had said that from the west, apparently the Nkuhumas have moved out of Simbambili, and actually they moved towards the gate. They had their tracks, and then that was it. They can't traverse any further than the gate. So this is where we take over and we start searching, because we've got all the access in the world around that area. So what we will probably do first is we'll probably jump and go towards the wardens' houses, which you'll see in a moment, and we'll just quickly check towards Sydney's dam, because what we don't want to do is spend all our time searching Impala Plains, Sandy Patch, Aubrey's if they've already crossed into Sydney's and north and into the Manuleti. We don't think it's silly and such a waste of time. So we'll check there first. If there's nothing there, then we'll come back and then we'll start bobbing and weaving in between these roads. We know that there's nothing down although down Aubrey's I'm not sure, but it looks like somebody has driven on there, and I'm sure that they would have reported tracks, so hopefully there'll be something from Aubrey's sort of back west towards the gate again. So let's keep our fingers crossed. And it sounds like it was I don't know how many lionesses, but definitely the females that have the cubs that have crossed this way. Well, that's cool. I'd like to see all the cats today. We've had a couple of catless drives, but I'm glad that we just broke the leopard spell. I think that that's something that I'm most excited about today. How many drives were we on, VM? Without leopards? 6 or 7? I don't know, it was a long time. It was definitely at 3 days at least that we didn't see leopard, maybe even a little bit longer. And I'm sure the guys are still trying to see if they can pick up on him, and I'm sure he's fast asleep because we would have seen his tracks crossing out. So that's sort of good news for us too. It gives us something to work on for this afternoon, because we know what he's like. He'll probably sleep most of the day off. Hopefully he doesn't move too far, and then we'll be able to pick up on him a little bit later. It doesn't seem like anybody's actually driven down here this morning. Right. We're just going to keep looking around here, and I'm actually happy that I can't see any game drive tracks coming this far around, just because it means that we'll have a better opportunity, of course, seeing any lion tracks. Or actually no, that doesn't make sense. I'd prefer to have a game drive vehicle driving here, because then at least they're looking for, excuse me, I've got hiccups now, for footprints, rather than perhaps a vehicle going to just pick up some stuff or drop a delivery off or something along those lines. The last thing that they're worried about is poking their heads out the windows and getting cold and looking for animal footprints. There are lots of Impala tracks at the moment. Just keep searching around here. We're not too far from the gate. And then hopefully we'll see exactly where they came in. I'm going to check a little bit over here. No. Nothing of importance just yet. Just lots and lots of Impala tracks. And sometimes what happens when the Impalas all walk together and their footprints go over the top of each other, as you're driving and from the height that we're looking, it almost looks like occasionally that there's the odd predator track on the ground. You sort of slam on brakes thinking, yes, you know, got something good, then it's nothing. It can be a little bit disappointing at times. That's also something that I'm starting to learn out here in the bush, is that, well, you've got to have lots of patience.